Welcome once again. This is Live Out Your Potential podcast series, and today we are again privileged to have you, Perpetua Omondi, to discuss, I would say, a follow-up to our previous episode, which discussed parenting, looking at traditional and modern realities surrounding parenting. So today we are going to focus on parenting in the digital age. We will be looking at how technology is changing our lifestyle in general. And we will focus on the challenges, if not the negative sides of this technology on how we raise our children. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here again.
Wonderful. Let me kick off by asking you, how is technology changing the way parents raise their children today?
In Africa, there is a significant increase of access to technology. And if Africa we're experiencing it now, it means then in the other part of the globe, technology is quite a match. So with that increase, you find that from research, it says over 160 million Africans gained broadband internet access between 2019 and 2022. That means there's a lot of technology used in Africa. So if this is Africa, then we multiply it how many times for other countries. So the technology has an impact, both positive and negative. I think I always look at the glass half full, glass half empty scenario. So we have positive impacts and then we have
What are
negative
those?
impacts. So positive impact, if I look at it, it has brought the world together. Right now I can get on a phone call and talk to someone in the United States, United Kingdom, in South Africa. Many years ago, you couldn't do that. So there's increased access to people, increased access to resources. I can order on a platform and my goods come from one continent to another and it lands my place in 2 to 3 days. So there's that access to things. And then there's access to information. I can be in a course studying here in Rwanda, but my class is taking place in the US timing. So there's that access to education, which wasn't so without the technology and the internet.
Access to knowledge,
Yes.
like this, episode we are.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. So there's that. There are those positives, and there are many more. But there are those now detrimental aspects that now comes with the increase of technology. And what I'm looking at here is a research done by the University of Singapore, which was released in 2023 February. And some of the challenges they highlighted with increased use in technology was if there is overuse of it, we'll experience people having obesity because of that sedentary lifestyle where they are just sitting and they're on their technological devices, where they have chronic illness secondary to obesity or overweight. Then there is aspects of, for younger children, there's poor cognitive performance, poor academic attention or performance, increase of accidents. Interestingly, there was a relationship between accidents and misuse of technology.
You mean car accident?
Accidents and even accidents in the house. Like when someone is on their phone and they're walking, they bump into something, like there's just increase of accidents. So, and then also there was the aspects of when it comes to teenage use and things like that, there are things like suicide and the cyberbullying can lead to other things. Increase of the esteem or even how someone feels about themselves because of that aspect of being bullied online, or now you're seeing what people are calling influencers have a certain form of characteristics. So it makes you feel maybe I should change something. So there's that aspect of people changing their identities.
So, discussing parenting the digital age, let us now come down to family. In your view, how is technology, the use of smartphones, the internet, how is this changing family dynamics?
So the aspect of family dynamics changing is that one, the use of technology, I view it from both the parents and the child perspective. The parents are more on their gadgets now more than before. So there's that less engagement, less interaction between parent and child. Two, the child is also on the gadget much more. So you find that there's that also limitation.
They are learning from their parents, right?
Yes. There's that angle of, being able to differentiate. If we are telling our children not to be on the gadget, are we on the gadget ourselves? So there's that limited engagement. There's also the family dynamic is slowly having difficulties with having bonding activities together. That is like before, you'd find people eating together, people spending their Sundays together. You're finding now people more in their rooms more. If there are children who have access to phones or tablets or iPads, they're spending more time in their rooms. They are spending less time playing with each other as siblings. So you'll find that one is on their phone on this side, the other one is on this side. So you'll find that there's less spending of time with each other. So those are some of the things that are slowly being affected with the technology within the family space.
And from a psychological perspective, what is the danger of that? I would call it bad habit.
So from an occupational perspective heading towards a psychological perspective, I would look at it from a point of the build-up to dependency on something. Because you find that when you engage in something too much, sometimes we have a term called addiction. So we might have aspects of gadget addictions. And I'd like to read something that still was part of this survey in terms of the gadget addiction. The Internet and Gaming Disorder has been included in the appendix of the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of the Mental Disorder, DSM-5. And then also gaming disorder is in the draft of the 11th revision of the World Health Organization International Classification of Diseases, ICD-11. So if we now move to that direction, the long-term effect of gaming and internet disorder, because you see this one is gaming and internet disorder, not being able to successfully quit the gaming or spending time on the internet, giving up all other activities and just remaining with this one, and then continuing to game or spending time on the internet despite the problems, using gaming to relieve negative emotions. So you find that now we are seeing that it can actually lead to something much deeper than what we can think. Because now there's a big problem even with the developed countries, where you'll find even more developed countries are now sanctioning games. Some games are not allowed to be played by certain age ranges because of the addictive aspect. You'll find that now in some spaces where you'll find that now in the US, I just saw in some states, they are now having no free phone schools. Like children, like you like this, the environment is free of phones. The students now no longer go to schools with phones. So you find that now we are slowly coming into setting up systems that will now reduce the level of gadget engagement in the school setting, and I think slowly it will come to the home setting.
So here I understand two things. We have, it's true that technology is changing the way we live, but the limitation I see, and you tell me if I'm wrong or right, the limitation I see is we have some parents, old generation, they don't probably understand to what extent this technology is changing us, is changing the way we bond, the relationship and all that. And maybe for them, they're like, okay, giving a phone, a tablet to a child is a normal thing, right? Because themselves, they're not educated about how to use technology. They are also young parents who are navigating this new technology world, and they feel like technology is helping us. It's helping us. If you give a child, if you give them a tablet, they will find useful content on YouTube. They'll be able to take online classes and all that. So from a professional point of view, you as a therapist, what can we do to prevent this addiction that is increasing in our homes, and not only to us parents but also children, because I feel like they learn from us in many ways.
Yeah, you're actually correct. You've brought about the parental factors that affect the wrong use of the screen. So one is the aspect of parents' knowledge of how much screen time, when should I give my child a phone, when should they even be able to own a phone that has internet access. So that kind of knowledge, being able to know. The other thing you've highlighted is younger maternal age. Younger parents are now giving their children their phones because they feel, yeah, it's okay, you can have it. So that level of awareness that you shouldn't be able to give maybe that length of time for certain age ranges. And then the other aspects you've been able to highlight is the parent level of education. So if you there's a certain level of education that you might have that exposes you, and maybe you get to know the detrimental effect of too much screen time and things like that. So there's that aspect of parent knowledge. So how do we help?
How do we help? How do we find balance? What advice can you give to make sure that we are not, killing ourselves in a way, just because we are trying to fit into, today's world where technology is driving pretty much everything?
Yeah, so for me, I look at moderation. How do we able to moderate and effectively use our technology advances? One, it would go to, it's a big debate. Do we buy our children iPads or not? Do we give them phones or not? But moving away from that debate, I would look at how beneficial is it for this child. Ideally, from the research, they were saying that there should be no screen time for children under 2 years old.
Under 2 years old.
Because the much screen time that they need is just 30 minutes to an hour. So this recommendation, one of their biggest recommendations, that there should be no screen time. But is it practical within our setting? If you look at your home, is it possible for your 2-year-old to stay without a screen? So for me to be to more of moderation, can we be able to moderate? Can we be able to know what hours should they have? And can we be able to put measures? There are things you can do to lock your screen. You can lock your internet access. You can put timers on the children's iPad, which I've seen. So you just put a timer, then they can engage for only maybe 30 minutes and that's it. You can put measures to be able to work on that. And then maybe for this preschool, they were saying that there should be no more than 1 hour a day. So that's the preschool. Getting to see how do we ensure it's just 1 hour.
Preschool day, you're talking about those who are 3 to 5?
Yes. So that's preschool. So that they should have only 1 hour a day according to their recommendations. And then for this one was quite interesting. For adolescents and school-age children, they were saying 2 hours only a day. So if we look at that, we get to see that once we have knowledge and we try now moderate within those spaces, then there's the aspect of the sites your children can access. You need to, as a parent, be able to monitor where they're accessing, when is it that they access, who are they engaging with those sites. Are there sites that we should wait until maybe they are 16, 17, 18, that they can now be able to have accounts in? So being able to be the hands-on parents even within the internet space and the technology space.
So now let us look at the dangers of the digital world you were describing. You talked about bullies that happen online, the safety with the use of social media, people posting their pictures. What if tomorrow you find yourself, naked because someone has used artificial intelligence to change, your picture. And we see that happening on social media. Now, my question is, as you give advice to parents, what are these dangers they should be aware of?
So the dangers online actually start with the content. What content are they exposed to when they go online and monitored? There's so much content that is not age appropriate. even news is not child appropriate, because there's something that will come up in news that maybe you hadn't prepared your child for. Maybe there are demonstrations, someone was hit, someone was bleeding, that is traumatic to them. So for me, it's just first content management. Are we able to monitor content? As much as we've given them phones, are we monitoring what content they have? So you might need to have site trackers, something that is able to monitor sites your child visited. You get to see they were on this site, they were on this site, they were on this site. If you have a queryable site, you ask them, why were you on this site? Or you be present when your child is online. If they need to be online, you have to be present. 2 is regulation of screen time. You have to regulate it, and you cannot regulate it if you're not modeling it. So children need to see you've actually regulated your time. I've seen scenarios where parents give children the gadget because them themselves, they want time to be on their own gadgets. You want to catch up on some IG chats, you want to catch up on something. So you're actually giving your child content. The other area is educating the minders and ensuring they're enforcing maybe the measures you've set in place for your child. Because sometimes we might not be spending most times with our children, as we said in the earlier podcast, where we're talking about aspects of work, and sometimes you're away from home. So how do you ensure the one who's taking care of your child is able to monitor? So you have to follow up with minders, whoever is responsible for your child at that moment, that they really need to monitor what is your child watching and things like that. And then also we have to be conscious enough to talk to our children about values, our cultural values, our personal values, our religious values, consistently and constantly, and put them in environments where they would be able to listen. This is the values we follow. So when they go online and they find something that is not of their value, they'll say, okay, this one I won't engage because this is what is our value. And another thing, building a lot on self-identity. When a child has very shaky self-identity, when they get online and they get in those platforms, that's when they start feeling, I need to change this, I want to change this,
I need to be like that
yes,
one. Need to.
I want to go for surgery, they change this, or I want even to change my gender. So you'll find that you have to build on their identity. Let them grow knowing that they need to have if you are limited in terms of knowledge, that's where Solid Mind comes in, where they can be able to capacity build you to be able to know, how do I build the right form of identity for my child? How do I encourage them to just love themselves the way they are, accept themselves the way they are, and not be swayed by anything they find online.
So what advice do you give? Talking about values, I feel like critical thinking is something that we all need, parents, but also children, because you won't be with them every day. You can do everything to make sure they don't access this and that, but when you are not there, what will they do? So instilling these values, what tips do you give to parents to make sure that we are raising critical thinkers who are able to understand that this technology is good but also can take us far and destroy our lives?
I love the angle of the critical thinking and the making of decisions by themselves. So the first tip is, when they have reached a certain age, which is preteen, just before preteen, or in their teens, you now let them make some choices, and then you observe what they put. Let's say, for example, pick a movie for us today. So you let them pick, and you get to see why did they pick this movie. So giving them those opportunities to just start making the decisions and choices. And the earlier stages, you start with regulating, and then you let them regulate themselves in a way, but with supervision. So you say, let's say, for example, tablet time is just 2 hours. And then the first few years you enforce it. And then the next few years you're in the house. So you just mention in the morning, tablet time is just 2 hours. Then you wait and see, will they really switch off their tablet at 11? And ask them, would you like an alarm or something that will remind you it's 2 hours? You let them set it for themselves. So you come from a place from heavy regulation to guided regulation to self-regulation. So they're able to walk through that journey, but you need to walk through with them. I think those are some of the really quick ones. And then also the aspects of let them discuss such things with their friends when you're around. If a friend comes over, you get to hear the engagements. So me, I go on this channel, me, I go to this one. Then you go and find out, why did your friend say they go to this channel? Do you know about this channel? So you also get to know what their peers are currently engaging in, on what are they doing, what are some of the red flags. So those are some of the aspects of self-regulation and self-guidance, and building heavily on the moral values. Critical thinking has to have a foundation. What is morality? So you have to build that morality so strongly that even when they get online, they are like, no, we are not allowed this because I believe it is wrong. So it all falls down when it comes to critical thinking, what is right and what is wrong. So when we now build upon it, they have to really understand what is right and what is wrong. You can do it from a faith-based angle. You can do it from a character development angle. You can do it as per what you please as a parent, but they have to have a grounding to stand on for them to make the choices.
Very interesting. Now we have another angle where we have parents who are very strict, when it comes to using digital devices. They're like, no, there is no TV, there is no smartphones for our children. And what we see is when these children are out and they have 10, 15 minutes to jump on someone's device, they're trying to catching up.
Yes.
Couldn't that be harmful in a way?
I think every parent has a right as to how they make choices over their children. And you'll find some are very strict based on maybe an experience they've experienced or they have had. So for me, the way I would maybe encourage the parent is you discuss on alternative options of how will they get to access these gadgets. If you say no, give them a timeline. You will not have a phone until you are 16 or 18. So the child knows, okay, I don't have a phone till I'm this time. But there's a child engagement where they'll want to get to a gadget and they want to see what the other child is seeing or what the other adult is doing. So when you pick the exact aspect of you said no, then prepare yourself for dealing with your child when they engage with the device. What do you need to prepare them in advance? Okay, if your friend gives you their tablet to play, can you play this game? So apart from just putting the gap of no, start with awareness. You know why I'm saying no? Because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you get a chance, which I see sometimes you do, this is what I want you to do or not do. But the best way is, as we say, the aspect of globalization. Your child will be in a space where technology will be everywhere around them.
Even
work.
at school.
Yeah.
At
school.
They go in the computer labs.
Yes. So when you think about it that way, then you might need to think about of how and when. You might need to think about when you introduce it to them. But if you choose no, it's okay. But remember, they'll be global citizens. So remember that there's that aspect that they need that gradual introduction somewhere. So if you trust the school to do it, well and good. If you trust maybe a relative, if they maybe transition to a different location, that they'll be able to successfully guide them through, that's okay. But when you think about globalization, it will be their way of life for a very long time. Because right now, even for us, we cannot do without a phone. If we can't say completely no to a phone, as much as I might want to be in a space where I don't want to engage with technology, at one point I'll talk on the phone. At one point I'll need to respond to an email if I need to stay in my job. So being able to think around those scopes, it might prepare parents on how to gradually, when they feel comfortable, to introduce their children to technology.
Do you feel or do you think parents are supported enough to navigate through these complexities?
I believe the resources are out there. It's just getting the right resource and the right support. But I feel it's a big gap. You have to really be intentional to get that support if you are even aware that you need that support. So yeah, there's a big gap in the space.
Right. Indeed, there is a big gap, and that's why we host these kind of discussions to make sure that these critical conversations can go out there and be heard. And we also welcome people at Solid Mind who want to access our service or testify, because maybe out there are different tips that are working for parents and their children. Heading to the conclusion of our discussion today, what tips are you suggesting to parents to make sure that they're able to navigate the virtual world in a healthy way with their children?
I would go for the parents really being the initial people who help the children navigate the technology world. They'll be the first ones to show the children how do you navigate your way through a phone, where do you not go when you have someone's phone, what are some of the activities people do on their phone, and even just if they have gadgets and tablets, put more educational resources and a few gaming options. So being able to walk through that journey with your child would be the first one. I would encourage parents. Be the first one to take your child through technology, because if they find any other option, sometimes it is the right way they are guided, but sometimes it's not. So you be the first one to engage them through the technology. Two, as a couple, if you're within the couple setting, agree upon some situations in terms of technology. There are moments where the dad says yes, the mom said no. So the child knows, if I want to use my phone, I go to dad and he'll give me his phone. So you have to have a joint way to be able to parent when it comes to technology. And it has to be agreed upon that we all agree that we will not give our tablets, we will not give our phones, or time is up, because the child knows it's 2 hours, but if I go negotiate, I'll get 1 extra hour. So there's that aspect of the joint angle if it's a couple. Then there's the aspect of activity engagement. If it's not technology, what other options are we giving our children? Do we have a swing? Do we have a ball? Do we have toys? Do we have board games? So invest in toys and resources, because there's we don't exist in a vacuum. Even the children, if they're not on the gadget, they have to be doing something. But it doesn't have to be so structured. The resource should be there. The other thing, introduce them to books at an early age, because a book can help the child navigate the world without touching their phone for some time.
There are those who will tell you we have
audiobooks, online books. But I'm still a fan of the tangible
physical
books.
one. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The physical books are important. Just buy a few. And for children, it's just buying a few. When they get a certain age, you change the type of book. You get other sources of books. So having physical books will be a good time spender. Outdoor activities are also very good. It removes children from the screens.
Sports.
Why not music, those talent development, chess. You have a wide variety. Hiking. Now there's zip lining. You can do so much. So it's just structuring your child's environment. You don't have to structure 200%, but you structure it in a way that they have alternatives. If a child has been spending too much time on the phone, do withdrawal. Start withdrawing it slowly. We reduce it 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. It can be challenging if they had 3 hours and then now there's nothing. So try, if there was a lot of screen time, start slowly reducing. Maybe let's say today they spend 1 hour, tomorrow 30 minutes, the other day 15. So start reducing.
So what you're talking about is how we can help those who are already addicted, right?
When it comes to addiction, they really need help, and counseling psychology will be best, because it's like an onion. Addiction doesn't just come. There are many factors that can bring it. So they need a professional to be able to unpeel every layer. Is it based on a traumatic experience? Is this the best way you're coping now with this emotion? Is it based on too much time because you don't have a job? Is it based because of post-traumatic stress disorder? Is it based on motivation of life? You are depressed, so now the only thing you feel like doing is just spending time indoors. So addiction, I would take it to the professionals.
How do we assess it? Because maybe the addiction is there, but they don't know. Parents do not know. Help them understand what could be the
factors, yeah.
the factors, the signs of this addiction we are talking about.
So as according to the aspect I had read in terms of the classification, so the proposed symptoms that were set out were the unsuccessful attempts to quitting the gaming or the engaging in internet, and then the identification that people are giving up activities. They are giving up things even like showering. The poor are not showering because they don't want to miss that season. They are watching season after season after season.
Yeah.
They are not cooking. They are not eating healthy. They are not meeting up with their friends as they used to. Some are not even coming to work. Some are not going to school. So there's the aspect of the missing up or giving up of other activities. Then even when they face challenges, they are still continuing with gaming. Maybe they were kicked out of work. Instead of looking for another job, they are continuing with the gaming. Instead of doing their school homework, which they have not done for a whole week, they are still continuing with the gaming. And then they deceive family members. And they are not clear or open on the time spent on gaming. And then they're also using gaming to relieve negative emotions. I'm stressed, let me game. I am stressed, let me spend 2 days on Netflix. There's nothing wrong with watching movies and things like that, but when now there's any excesses, and now some of those symptoms that were proposed for the ICD-10, when they come up, that's when you can now be able to say this one has gone beyond.
Thank you very much. This was very insightful, and we look forward to hosting you for our, next episode. I'm sure parents who are watching will have questions, comments, and from comments of our viewers, we are able to sit for next episode. Thank you, Perpetua, for giving us your precious time. As we wrap up, today's episode was really about navigating parenting the digital age, and we received so many insightful comment from your side as a professional. So we hope this will be very helpful to parents, but also adults and adolescents watching. Stay tuned, and please comment, share, make sure that this message is reaching places. We are here to educate, share knowledge, and make sure that we are aware of things surrounding us. Any final message before we?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I'm just an encouragement to parents. We just keep trying our level best to be able to guide our children. And we try also do an audit on ourselves, on our gadget use, because I believe our biggest role as parents is the modeling. How are we modeling to our children? And then finally, seek help and seek knowledge base in terms of experience. Can you be able to reach out to a group of people, reach out to Solid Minds, and get to know what are some of the programs you can be able to get that will help you better parent? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Most welcome.